You know what? We should have put it on like airplane mode, but
Yo, welcome to another episode of Everyday Celebrity Media News. We have a special bonus interview with one of the best motivational speakers of our generation. So without further ado, let's welcome Shawn Harper. Welcome to the show.
hey, love that. Thanks for having me. And listen, let me tell you something. That intro was funky. I love that bad boy right there. It was rich. That was rich right there. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a little old school vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So Shawn Harper, I came across you on accident, I believe, through like a website that I use to like find people for like podcasting. And
Yes,
then
sir.
I looked at some of your speeches, and you gave a keynote speech that really touched me, and it was an amazing speech. It was the speech where you had the chains in your hand. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So before we get into your speeches and everything that you are doing currently, let's touch base on your upbringing and how you became this motivational speaker. Where are you originally from?
I'm originally from, and I still live in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are an ex-NFL player, correct?
Yeah, I'm a former NFL football player, and now I'm a executive motivational speaker and coach.
Okay. How long were you in the NFL?
I played for a total of 7 seasons with the Rams, with the Colts, Houston when they were in Houston. That kind of dates me, and NFL Europe.
Okay. And did you get like drafted out of like college or something? Or
Yep, third pick in the fourth round back in the early '90s to Indiana from Indiana University.
mm-hmm. Okay. So there's a lot of questions that I have for just on that part of your life. How was getting drafted into the NFL?
You know what? It was a very surreal moment. I was sitting there, and to be honest, I didn't want to have that huge draft party because I don't know. A lot of you know that, but sometimes those things don't go so well. There are players who are left in the draft room, and the draft is over, and they're just eating all that shrimp in a $12,000 bill.
Yeah.
So I just kept it real modest and simple, and it was just me and my closest friend. And come draft day, I was the phone call rang, said Jim Erkenbeck, we're going to pick you up with the Rams. About 1 minute later, they announced my name. I shut the TV off and I splurged at Red Lobster.
So you knew you were going to get drafted that night.
Yeah, I knew I was going to get drafted. It just didn't know when and where. It can go from the third round to the ninth round, but somewhere I was going to get drafted. Most analysts had me picked going before the fifth round.
So on like draft night, before draft night even happens, do you get contacted by a team saying, "Oh, you're going to get drafted so don't even worry about it. Or do
Yeah. So what happens?
people just go in like, oh, I don't know what the fuck's going to happen?
Oh no, 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 no. Depending on where you are in the draft, if you're a short lock first rounder, they fly you to New York and they
Mm,
put you in the room with your family, and there's a little suite for you. Then they announce your name, and then you'll probably some people get picked in the second round or whatever, but they have actual scouting companies, and they come up with consensus. Former NFL scouts, general managers, and
mm,
they kind of talk to every team like, who you got going first, who you got going second.
mm,
They really can't come out and say, hey, but they said, well, we think he's going to be a fourth rounder. Well, you didn't talk to every single team, and they told you, oh, we think Harper's going to go in the fourth round.
mm.
So that's how they do it.
And then when you went into the NFL, did you have to fight for a position on a team, or were
Oh
you?
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah,
How
oh yeah.
was
It
that?
is it is extreme competition. Football camp. I mean, I just need you to imagine, about 60 to 75 guys, okay, and they're all type A, just relentless dogs. They're dogs, okay. It's like
Mm,
let's go get them. And every day, every play, they have about 7 to 8 cameras on you. They watch everything that you do. They watch your body language, they watch your positioning, they watch how you transition, and you are competing. And they take that film and they break you down. And one day, someone will come up and tap you on the shoulder, like, "Hey, you got to go," because every team has about 3 to 4 weeks to take 60 to 75 guys and break them down to 45. And
mm.
so yeah, it's extremely competitive, but it's also fun. I had some of the best times in my life playing
Mm.
football.
Who was your favorite teammate your rookie season?
Well, my favorite teammate, my rookie season, I had a few for various reasons. I'll just run off. My roommate was a guy named Tim Lester. He ended up playing like uh, 10 or 11 season. He recently passed. I think it was because of COVID. He
Mm,
went with the Rams for a few years, and then he went to Pittsburgh, and he had a great year blocking for Jerome Bettis. But my favorite teammate that I was just around and I watched was an old Rams player named Jackie Slater. And Jackie played 20 years as a right tackle. That's unheard of. And just to watch his perspective and his approach to the game was mind-boggling. Like all the guys would come and practice, out, the night before, hanging out at the party, the club, or whatever, VIP this, VIP that. They had the sweats on, "Hey, I'm tired, smelling like last night, breath stinking, and So I mean, I'm in I'm with the Rams when they're in Los Angeles. We're in Anaheim. Okay. So it's like
mm,
we're all up and down the 5 freeway, five to the 91 to the 110. I'm there. I'm just,
yeah.
and Jackie would come to practice every day in a suit and tie.
Mm,
And it was amazing. He was polished, best shoes, best cologne, coming to practice, clean shaven every day. And one day I asked him, like, Judge, that's his nickname, Judge, why are you doing this? And he's like, and then he looked at me and he said something that changed my life. He said, you always want to have the perspective of the person who's cutting the check. I'm like, all day. Thank you, big dog. He
mm,
had the right perspective. It was business.
mm.
I was like, I got it. I got it.
So he was like your veteran. What do you call
Yeah.
those veteran guys who teach the rookies, take them under
Mentor.
their wing and shit?
Yes. Yeah. 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 He was the lead. You know what? In the NFL or in like any sports is really interesting because the leadership dynamic is like weird because in the locker room is usually the older offensive lineman. That's the leader. Okay.
Mm,
On the football field, on offense, it's usually that crazy linebacker who's the leader. And on defense, it's always the quarterback. But then on the sideline, the head coach is the leader. It's really
mm.
weird, and you have to know how to flow with each of them.
Okay. Do you have a teammate that you hated the most?
Oh well, no, no. Honestly, I didn't have no hate.
No.
You know, because once you understand that, you know what, this guy is fighting for his job too. You know,
Mm,
I had a cousin, man, who played 19 years in the NBA. His name was Herb Williams, and I went over to his house, and he was eating a piece of chicken, and he said, "You know what?" He said, "You see this piece of chicken?" He said, "You trying to take this piece of chicken out of somebody else's mouth." He said, "Remember that. It is that competitive." He's looking at you like you trying to steal money from me. You
mm,
trying to steal money from my kid, from my wife. Boy, I'm gonna do you. I'm gonna do you the best way I can on the field.
mm.
But that's understood. It's understood. It's all competitive, but it's all fun and games when it's all said and done.
So when you get into the NBA, a lot of people, a lot of black athletes, obviously don't have the financial the financials before they go into the NFL, and then when they get into the NFL or any pro sports, they become instant millionaires as soon as they get drafted. So when you got into the NFL, did you see a lot of relationships around you change because you were in the NFL now?
Yeah, see, money is amazing because money makes you more of what you are. And sometimes people aren't able to grasp that. Money puts you in a totally different category, a different mindset. And yes, those relationships has to change. They have to change. A lot of these guys, are from, as you kind of alluded to, they're from poverty. And now you're around affluence. It will behoove you to understand that game and to learn that game and to learn the rules of money at that level. The longer you're in the NFL, the longer you're with the professional sports, the more you understand the game, and you have to make a decision. And the decision that you have to make is, are you going to keep it real? Are you going to be with the boys? Yada, 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 because you want to, keep your like hall pass in the hood? Or are you going to like kind of put it on the sideline and you're going to compartmentalize? So some of the wizards of the game, guys that I won't even mention, played 12, 13 years in the NFL. They had to make that distinction. Hey, dog, you can't come up during the season. You're going to come up on the off season, and this is what we're going to do because I'm a pro now. I can't get down like that. I can't be out like that. They got cameras everywhere you go now. I'm a pro, baby. So you have to understand that, or you can't come. And you know what? Everybody can't go. Everyone can't go. So you have to evolve with the game.
So when it comes to pro athletes, right?
Yeah,
I'm basically talking about NBA and NFL.
yeah,
NFL players usually when you hear about people getting athletes getting in trouble, the majority of the time it's NFL players compared to basketball players. And a lot of people say it's because NFL is such a violent sport and it fucks up your like your mentality, right? Do you think that's true? And if you think it's true, why do you think that is that NFL players usually get in trouble more than basketball players?
I don't think that's true. I think that there may be an element of truth to that, but let's just look at the numbers. So an NBA team might have what, 10 players?
Mm-hmm.
NFL team has about 45, 50 players per team. So do the math. So you're like four times more likely to hear about an NFL player than an NBA player.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then count the number of NBA teams out there. How many of them are out there? I don't even know.
I think there's
But I
30.
don't think, okay, so now, okay, wow, wow, wow. So now you have 30 plus NFL teams, a few more teams.
Mm.
So, yeah, I think it's more of a numbers game. I really do. I really do.
Did you find it offensive when the whole kneeling started with Kaepernick and all that?
You know, it's interesting. I have a I have a very interesting take on that. Okay, um, I live in the United States of America. The United States of America is still the greatest country in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm,
Okay, the challenge with that is that he was exercising his right, and the reason why the U.S. is the greatest country in the world is because we don't live in a democracy. We live in a republic. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. It's not a democracy. Okay, so let's go there for a second. A democracy is mob rule. Okay, hey, the majority rules. That's a democracy. A republic says there are rules that will go against the majority if need be. So we live in a republic, which means that we have the right to exercise, our expression. You might not agree with it, but it's our right to do so. The same people that burned flags in the 60s in the protest, they were exercising their right. I don't agree with kneeling. I don't agree with the burning of the flag. I don't. I love my country, but it is his right. And we have to be very careful not to hamper that because one day they might say, we don't like black people. And since we're in a democracy,
I
the
think they said
majority
that already.
rules. Well, yeah, but I don't want them. I don't want them putting firepower behind it legally. Okay,
Mm,
or we don't like Christians, or we don't like Muslims. So this is why we have a republic to protect. So yes, let him do it because that's his right.
mm, okay. So, growing up in Ohio, how was that for you?
Wow, it's interesting. I was one of seven kids.
Mm,
Grew up on the south side of Columbus, Ohio. We didn't grow up poor. We grew up po. I mean, I'm talking po.
mm.
Like government, not government, government cheese. You know what I mean? One bathroom. My mom scrubbed floors as a living. She
Yeah.
scrubbed floors as she was a maid. And we would have to work the system. And so, I was that guy. I had all the hand-me-downs. I was second to the youngest, and on top of that, I had educational challenges. 4 to 5 learning disabilities. Um, Voted most likely to fail. Left high school with a 1.62 cumulative GPA, 9 on my ACT. It was, the bottom. Athletically, I barely started in high school football. I wasn't even honorable mention all conference.
Mm,
So my actual achievement ideology was destroyed. I saw myself, maybe, you know, getting a job at a factory, fighting, doing I mean, I was all up in that life.
mm,
I was on that, I was on that level in
mm,
in 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 a lot of ways. And I went off to a junior college in Mason City, Iowa. The coach had the nerve to call me and was like, "Your high school coach thinks you have potential," and I hung up on him. But that dream was speaking like, come on, man, let's go. You can do this. And I called that coach back, ate humble pie. I said, Coach, if you have me, I'll come. And went from the hood of Columbus, Ohio, Southfield, to Mason City, Iowa.
mm.
In the first year at that junior college, I sat the bench the entire season. And then going into the second year, I realized that, you know what? There's no way I can be successful. I don't have the grades. I don't have the connections. I might not have the right color. I mean, I just stacked everything up that was against me. I stuttered. Man, I couldn't even complete a sentence right. I mean,
Yeah.
it was horrible. It was all stacked up against me. But I said this, right? I said, but I can win. And the moment I said that, man, it's like my body came to life. It's like I started to see things differently, like the Matrix, like Neo, right? I'm like, because I'm created to win. And each and every one of you people who are listening to me right now, you're created to win. The fact that you're here means that you're one of 2 to 3 million sperm cells that fertilize the egg. You're a winner. And once I tapped into that, man, I begin to see life differently. I begin to MacGyver life. I begin to, make some adjustments, and I begin to just take everything to a whole new level. And I started living my life according to laws, not just rules, spiritual laws. And I went from that to IU, to the NFL, to owning two companies, to being a speaker and a coach. If
Mm.
life is a game, play to win.
Were so back to when you were in college and all this stuff was stacking against you. Was going back to was the idea of going back to the hood a part of
Yeah,
that motivation
yeah.
of not failing, and then was your mother a part of the motivation? Like you didn't want to go back to her saying I wasn't able to make it.
Let me tell you something, okay? So the stuff I'm sharing, man, I just pray to God that people will like really take this because this stuff is not, you know, this stuff is not in books, okay? Every winner, everyone who's trying to achieve something, amazing, you have to have that antagonist. You have to have the naysayers. I mean, why did Jesus choose Judas? I mean, he knew who he was.
Mm,
But you have to have that, okay? But you also have to have a cheerleader. Okay, you always have to have some. You have to have somebody that on your team that's not called to your vision. They're called to you, and they speak life in you. Don't listen. Don't throw away the cheerleader. That person that was like, "Come on, man, I believe in you." You keep them. You listen to them. It's fuel, and that was my mama. And I called mama at the end of the first year. I said, "Mama, I quit. I'm done. I give up. I'm gonna come on back home, get a job at the Honda plant, mom." She's like, "Baby, what you coming home to?" She said, "I'm not letting you come home. You can't come home. You will not quit." Let me tell you something that's so powerful about that. About 4 days ago, I just buried her. I just
mm,
buried my mama.
mm,
And uh, it was hard. It was hard because that was my ride or die. You know, that was my cheerleader. So had it not been for Edith Harper, to make a decision to stay and to raise 7 kids on the south side of Columbus, man, I wouldn't even be here right now. She motivated me, she encouraged me, she pushed me, and yeah, yeah,
was
she's a
she
beast.
the single parent?
Yes, so my father left when I was around 4 years of age, and she was that single parent. She had like boyfriends here and
Yeah.
there, but yeah, but man, she did it herself. She scrubbed floors, man. You know, it's so funny because I hear a lot of sisters, now's the time I get in trouble. I hear a lot of sisters say, I'm a strong woman. I just laugh. I laugh to myself. I said,
Yeah.
because you know why? I said, I laugh because when you equate strength with power, I said, strong is not power. Power is just something, strength exercising. I'm doing this, I'm taking over, I'm making money moves. I said,
Mm,
strength is something different, baby. Strength gives you the power to sustain, to withstand, to resist. I said, you see those big ships out there? Them bad boys is moving, them bad boys are powerful. But when it's time for that ship to stop, when it's time for you to bring that power under authority, it drops the anchor. And the anchor is the strength. I said, so the sisters of old, they were strong because they had strength. They knew how to hold the family down. They knew how to hold the family together. They knew how to tell their bodies no for the sake of their kids. They knew how to protect their kids, not put themselves out there. That's strength. I said, well, you're talking about power. I said, plus that's masculine. We got the power.
mm.
You take the strength.
Do you think that's one of the things that's wrong with today's society as kids is because they don't have I mean their parents are not like old school parents like your mother?
Oh, yeah. I mean, uh, think about it for a second. It had it not been for my mom, had it not been for the neighbors down the street getting me in trouble, had it not been for that, my nosy neighbor across the street telling on me when I was eating pizza and sneaking out at night, like where would I be? And in fact, I know it because some of my friends are dead. Some are strung out right now.
Mm,
They didn't have that growing up, and I was jealous of them when I was growing up. I'm not jealous now.
mm. So when you rate your success, is your mother more of a factor or a religion to you?
Oh, it's religion.
Mm,
Um, yeah, because you know you can get full of yourself, and I see this happens. I've seen this happen to athletes all the time. You ever wonder how an athlete could just do something stupid? Like, man, what were you thinking? Bringing a gun here or doing this. Well, it's because they don't forget to take off the helmet. And so what I mean by that is you have the helmet on Saturday or Sunday, even on Friday, you the man, or you know WNBA or whatever. You're the woman, or you the man. You got, and then you're supposed to take it off when the game is over, right? And
mm,
then you put it back on when it's game time. But then after a while, you realize that, man, everybody's sweating me, man. Everyone loves me when I have my helmet on, when I wear that. This is who I am. I'm the football player. People appreciate that. I get free meals. I get autographs. People are like throwing themselves at me, like, "Oh man, this is awesome." And then you still think you playing football. You still think you on the field, but it's Tuesday and you're supposed to be in class, or it's Wednesday and you're at a social gathering, and then you do something stupid because you still think you can get away with it, and all of a sudden you realize, whoa, this ain't the football field.
mm.
No, you get caught up, you get lost. See, there's image and then there's identity. And over time, if you're not careful, you get caught up in your image. And this is why a lot of actors, once they finish a role, they have to go to rehab. They have to go away and break that role out of them
Yeah.
so they can find out, yeah, so they can get reconnected to who they are.
What do you think the image of the black athlete is now? Do you think it's better now than it was back in your days?
Yes, because society has lost control of the narrative. They've lost control of the story. And what I mean by that is, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, I, I believe that the story could be contained and controlled more. And unfortunately, I don't believe that it was presented in a positive light. But now, heck, I'm a former athlete and I'm doing a podcast right now. And so you're like, wow, I'm hearing something. So there's so many outlets that these athletes have,
Yeah.
of just not just African American athletes, athletes in general, where it's like, you know what? Hey, here's my iPhone. This is what I'm doing. I'm about to give away $50,000 right now. I'm about to build a house and I'm putting it on Facebook. So yeah, there's so many opportunities now to get that
Mm,
story out, and it cannot be controlled as much as it used to be.
mm. So when you were in the NFL, when you were going to team after team, did you get discouraged about going team after team, or was your attitude still positive? Like, yo, I'm still in the NFL at least.
Okay, so there was a guy named Mike Pagel. He's old school quarterback, man. So we would be at practice, right? And everybody had a bench, and Mike Pagel had a director's chair, right? He had a real live action director's chair, and he'll sit in the director's chair, and the young player's job was to just go next to him and sit down and shut up. And if you're lucky, he would give you some inside information, right? So
Mm,
he'll be reading the newspaper, and I'm just sitting there, waiting for the old wise quarterback to speak. And then he was like, Shawn, the NFL is a big team within itself. So your job is not to make a team. Your job is to make the NFL. And you make the NFL, you'll bounce around from team to team to team to team. He said, but if you mess up, once you get kicked out of one team, no other team will touch you. He said, so
mm-hmm,
make the NFL. He said, you'll be fine. So, going from team to team, it's all about the business of the game. And either you're good for the game or you're not good for the game.
Mm,
The NFL is a very powerful organization. People don't realize like imagine, so let's say we're in LA. Okay. So, you have the Rams in LA. Now you got San Diego in LA. And look at the influence that they have in Los Angeles. It's pretty decent, but there's a lot of other influences in, Los Angeles. So every city's not like Los Angeles. So imagine what the Green Bay Packers influence is in Wisconsin. Now imagine what the Cleveland Browns influence is in Cleveland, and imagine what these other smaller cities. They own a significant part of that city with real estate and influence, and it's a privately held organization.
mm.
They're powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they are powerful. They're the. I'm surprised it's more popular than basketball, the NFL, and because basketball is like worldwide, but the NFL is still more popular than the NBA for some reason.
You know what? The NFL does a lot. They do a lot of marketing. They do a very good job.
Mm.
I'm not going to lie. They do a very, very, very good job in their marketing, in their branding.
So, when was your last year in the NFL?
I officially retired in the year 2000.
2000.
I was
Okay.
done. Yep.
Have you ever
I
had
was
a?
actually over.
Go ahead.
I was actually over in NFL Europe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever had got a concussion in the NFL?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
More than
Right
one?
then. Oh yeah. We didn't call them concussions. We said things like you got your head. You got your bell rung. Like there's times when I would hit a linebacker or or even in practice, and I mean I swear I'm at the ocean and there's seagulls and they're like, get up, Harper. I'm like, oh, I'm still at practice. It was like, for like how long was I down there? Oh, you was down there for a few seconds, and then the headaches would ensue. And it's like you'd have to be like in the dark room and don't turn the light on, and you know what? You still got to practice. You still got, that was back in the day. Now they have concussion protocols and things like that. But we
So
didn't
I'm
have that
I'm
back then.
assuming you don't agree with the way the NFL handles concussions back in the day, back in your day.
Well, no, no. I don't agree. I don't know if they understood the long-term ramifications,
Mm,
but I don't agree. But I think that they're doing a decent job. They could do better, but they're doing a decent job of making it right.
mm.
Yeah.
So after you retired, what was your like? What was on your mind? Did were you like, oh, I'm just gonna chill and relax? I got this money saved, or did you have a plan before you retired?
Well, so I had ownership in a security firm.
Mm,
So that was the plan to go and to help out with a, a company that I had ownership in. So, it was a natural progression in a shrewd, crude way because I'm an offensive lineman. We're protectors, and security, we're protectors. I'll see the quarterback as the client. And yeah.
mm. So where did motivational speaking come in the picture?
So the NFL, and I think that they do an amazing job at this. Every 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 NFL team has a PR department, right? And so the PR department, they do a lot of work in the community, and they would invite athletes to come and speak off season or even during season. They'll pay the athletes, a little bit of money, but it's not about the money. It's about reaching out to the community, basketball tournaments, speeches to boys clubs, and you know, and so I would always sign up. I would always sign up because I love to just uh, help people and motivate people, and
Yeah.
I just did it, team after team after team. With the PR department, hit my name first on the list. And when I retired, I was expecting that, the the actual uh, invitations would die down, but it's kind of the opposite. They kind of increased and they just kept rolling. And I said, okay, I'm just going to roll with the power. I'm just going to roll with the inertia. And that's what happened. and I've been doing it for 20 years.
So you said you had like disabilities and like stuttering. Where did you get the confidence to like stand up and? Because I'm assuming you get hired to speak in front of like companies and all
Yeah.
that stuff, right? Where did this confidence come from?
You know what? The confidence started immediately as soon as I was diagnosed. That's where the confidence started. And let me tell you what happened. I, I'm in the room, they're, saying, hey, here's the results, Miss Harper, your son has, all these disabilities. And, we have, prescriptions for him and we have intervention specialists and, we're going to put him in special classes to get the individual attention. And my mom slammed her fist on the table. She said, no, you will not label my boy. He's not going to lead a class. You're going to help him, but he's going to be a normal kid. And then she looked at me. She's like, baby, come on. You got to sink or swim. Let's go. Find it. You can do it. So she never allowed me to lean on those disabilities. Even to this day, I struggle in certain areas, but you know what? I don't focus on that. I staff my weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses. I'm not disabled. I'm uniquely enabled. And I'm uniquely enabled to do amazing things. Like Superman has kryptonite, right? But you
Mm.
don't hear him saying, "Oh my God, I'm Superman, and I have kryptonite." No, man. It's like, boo, hit that Wonder Woman, sweetheart. Get out of here.
Mm.
I'm out. Let's go. I gotta take over the world. You riding? Let's roll.
Mm.
Yeah.
So what is? I mean, everyone has. When it comes to speakers, everyone has like their favorite. Some people might say you're one of their favorites.
Hey, I'll take that.
Some people might say something else. Who is your favorite public speaker
Wow. You know
that
what?
you like get inspiration from?
Wow. I don't pull a lot of inspiration from public speakers. I
Mm.
really don't. I tell you, there's a guy, I forgot, I can't pronounce his last name. It's Simon Sinek, whatever. Eric Thomas, of course, is good. Les Brown is amazing. Um, there's a guy named Damon Wyman. He's a former uh, offensive lineman for the Patriots. He's a phenomenal speaker. I love to hear him talk. I like listening to pastors. I like Dr. Tony Evans. I like Bishop Jakes.
Mm.
I just love the way that they're able to open up life through words.
Mm. Okay. Uh, who? So I'm glad this is a two-part question. So, what is the best advice that you ever received as far as sports, your football career, and then what is the best advice that you received as far as like business wise?
Wow. The best advice I received as far as sports is persistence through resistance. And that would like, no, scratch that. One just hit me. It's the law of the 212. Okay.
Mm.
What I mean by that is water at 211 degrees. At 212 degrees, water boils. 1 degree, that water boils, and boiling water has changed the world. And so my coach in school, Elliot Uslack, he would always hold his fingers up like this. He says, Harper, you only have to get this much better every single day. And over the course of a season, it turns into this much. But you got to take little steps. So what I would do is that these guys would finish up practice, and I will stay out there and I'll practice an extra 7 minutes. I'm like, you know what? I'm getting some extra reps in. Before practice, I practice an extra 5 to 10 minutes. And I would just get a little bit better each day, focusing on getting a little better. Never become complacent.
Mm.
As far as life is concerned, as far as business. I'm sorry, as far as business is concerned, is you have to build your team. You have to you have to create an amazing team in order to win. Winning involves teams. Build your team and you'll win.
Mm. Okay. So what advice would you give? I mean, you probably it'd probably be that same answer, but what advice would you give a young person who is struggling, who's trying to be an entrepreneur but has been doing it for a long time, doesn't see any results, and is thinking about quitting? what would you tell that person? And it
Well,
doesn't
the
even
first
have
thing
it
that
doesn't even have to be an entrepreneur. Just on a person who's trying to do something and he keeps trying, but
yeah,
it's not the results are not coming in fast enough.
failure is your friend. Failure gives a test and teaches the lesson. Write down what you learn from every single failure and don't call it failure, call it tuition.
Mm.
And some people go to school for 12 years to become, a doctor. So you're in great company. I'll tell you something else. The average millionaire, according to Google, has filed for bankruptcy 3.2 times. You can look it up. It's right there. Millionaire bankruptcy. Google says 3.2 times. That means they probably have three failed businesses.
Hmm.
And there's story after story after story of people who have failed, but they keep fighting through the resistance because failure and resistance is your friend. Let me tell you something. There's nothing worse than getting to that level and you ain't put in the work to get to that level. There's no appreciation of it. There's no lessons learned. There's no war marks. There's no battle scars. You don't have the resolve because you haven't dealt with rejection at a small level. Uh-uh. Put in the work. It'll pay off.
Do you regret
Oh
anything
man.
in your life that you can do
Oh
over?
yeah. Yeah. Um,
Give me one example that you wish you can do over.
yeah. I wish I would have, you know, lived in the moment more when I was playing football.
Mm.
I wish I would have lived in the moment more when I was in school studying. I wish I would have, developed networks when I was in college. A lot of these social skills, although I'm a very sociable person, I did not develop because I didn't have to. Because I was a star college athlete. I don't have to do. I don't need to have networking skills. I'm a star college athlete. You're coming to network with me. You know. And if you're
Mm.
not networking with me or my frat brothers, then I don't, then I don't have nothing to say to you. I wish I would have been a little bit more humble to talk to the person in that frat house and network with that person, network with the Chinese student, network with the future CEO over here. I mean, heck, Mark Cuban went to my school, right? I mean, he went there a couple years before I did, but imagine if I would have networked with Mr. Cuban. Really?
Yeah.
Listen to me. Your network is your net worth going forward.
Mm.
Build your network. Get out of your circles. Get out of your own skin color. You know, stop allowing life to fragment you and to push you in different areas. There's a reason why they want to keep you in a corner. There's a reason why they've never really talked about solving racism. They just talk about racism itself and they don't talk about solutions. There's a reason why they keep the rich away from the poor because of
Mm.
people that's fragmented, you don't have power. So get out of your comfort zone because if you're not careful, your comfort zone will become your casket. Yeah.
Wow. Shawn Harper, that was very very great advice. Do you want to tell? Well, I think. Well, first of all, let me say thank you for joining me uh, on Everyday Celebrity Media News. It was been a pleasure. Very motivating. Do you want to tell the people where they can find you at? Do you have any social media handles or emails if
Yeah, I
people want to
do.
reach out?
Yeah, it's I'll just give you a couple. It's Shawn Harper Speaker on Instagram. Okay.
Mm.
Winning by Design on Facebook and website is ShawnHarper.org. And you know what? I got a gift for your audience, and I'm going to take this down, but I need, by another month. If you go to Shawn Harper, ShawnHarper, ShawnHarper.co, I'll give you a free copy of my book. And it talks about the laws. I break the rules, but you never break laws. And so I talk about the ways to win in
Okay.
life. Yeah.
Well, everybody go to Shawn. Was it ShawnHarper.com?
Nope, ShawnHarper.co.co.
ShawnHarper.co. Everybody go there, check it
Mhm.
out, and you get a free copy of his book.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to do that. But yeah, Shawn Harper, thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. And do you got any last words of motivation for the
yeah,
people?
yeah. I have two things real quick. This one sentence that I said earlier that's keep haunting me right now, and so I need to make that right. And I've learned that when you mess up, you need to make it right. And so I mentioned about power being masculine. It
Mm,
can be both masculine and feminine.
mm-hmm.
And so, in fact, the feminine, in a lot of ways, is more powerful than the masculine. And so I have to repent for that statement. I was just talking. But uh, number two is that I just want to encourage you guys. I live by this motto. There's three things that I live by. Okay, three laws. I live, which means I relish the moment. It's in the now. I give. Yeah, I give of myself, I give of my money. And then the greatest thing, the greatest of the three, especially, especially with our people, is that I've learned to forgive because anger will always destroy the container that it's held in. You have to forgive.
Mm, nice words to live by. All right, Shawn. Thank you very much. You have a great day, and I will be keeping in touch with you, sir. Hopefully, we can talk again soon.
Thank
And
you so much.
yeah, thank you. We'll
All
talk
right.
soon. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Shawn Harper. And just like he said, go to ShawnHarper.co and you can get a free copy of his book. And you better do that because the dude know what the fuck he's talking about. And also, if you go down in the description, I'm going to link his YouTube speech that I was talking about in the beginning of this interview. So that was Everyday Celebrity Media News. Peace.